Okay, John Tapp here. I'll do a short demo for Amanda. Demo how to use Procoder with her interaction code real quick and explain a couple of issues. To explain the code file business, load up Moose's. I'm running two screens, so Moose is on the recording screen, and I'm going to go in the code file editor, and I've been already opened this one, but I would go File, Open, Moose's version. Okay, so the timed event is just saying it's an event with a time. This stuff over here is for Lily to tell it how to lay it out on the screen. This stuff here is the code and it's the description. Procoder does have to have just one key for the quick key coding, so they have to all be different. That's why I picked these, but you can change it, but if you're going to change it before you code a whole study, because it's a mess if you don't. And then when you get that the way you want it, you can do export this to a Procoder code file. The formats are different, unfortunately, because historical reasons. I wrote them at way different times, and Moose's needed more information, so I went to a different format for it. Hopefully I'll fix that in the next version of Procoder, so everything uses the same code file and it'll be less confusing. The other thing is the groups part. This is where you tell it whether it's a frequency count code or a duration code group. So in Moose's codes are in groups for mutually exclusive exhaustive counting. And in Procoder, really the groups just tell it what columns it's in, and Procoder doesn't do any counting on its own. But we'll go through the analysis at some future point. That's just to clear up some of the code file questions, I hope. So next we're going to close the Moose's up. I've already exported the Procoder file. I have it back here. So close up Moose's and start up Procoder. Okay, so the first step is new observation data file. Your files are in a OneDrive. Documents. I'm just going to call it test to overwrite that one. Do you want to replace it? Yes. Okay, and then when you open a new code file, you want to browse, a new observation event file. You want to browse for the code. And we're going to use the Procoder one for this, the Procoder format. And then I'm going to browse for a movie, just in my video somewhere. So I have a video. It's one of me playing drums somewhere. Okay. So I browse, and now this file knows the video and it knows the code file. So when I save it and open it again, do that. I'm going to open it again. See, it already knows that. It already loads up the video, the media file, the movie, and the code file. And it uses that code file to set this grid back here. So this is where you actually code in the data part. This stuff here is just for header information, just for your own purposes. If you need it, you don't need to use it at all. It doesn't affect coding. It just tells you more about the file. When you name these files, you want to name it something like have the subject ID and who coded it and things like that. And make sure your names can't be the same, because you want to know from the file name. It's just easier what's in there. Okay, so actual coding can be done a couple of different ways. The media control menu has play, stop, go to start, other controls. So I'm hit play. And you can do that with the control keys. One common thing that happens is you go over here, start using these controls, and then the control keys don't work, and you wonder why. Well, that's because this window has to be the active window. See how that's bold now, but that's bold now. So for the keys to go to that window, it has to be the active window. If it's not, then they don't work. That's a common mistake or error that people have, really because the media window is a different window. And that's just so if you have two screens or you want to move it somewhere else, then you can do that. Okay, so one way to code would be go in there, have it playing or stopped, and hit mark, and it puts the time in. I'm going to double click that just so you can see the time, and then pick what it is, and then add a row, play it some more, hit mark, pick what it is, add a row, hit mark, oops, mark the wrong row, hit mark, pick what it is. Okay, so that's one way you can code that way. The other way would be to use the quick keys. So I'm going to just show the code file. It loads in the background, but then it doesn't show it to you just because there's so much on the screen. But just so I can have it up, I'm going to show it here, and so I know what keys to hit. So I can be playing along and hit A or N. All right, let's jump to the N and hit F. Let's hit D for a redirect. M for a, what was M? A peer prompt. I hit P. M, peer prompt. P, I, R. So you can be watching the video and hitting keys, and it marks right then. That's another way to do it. That's the quick keys method. On the settings and the options, you want Windows Media Player most likely, if it's any kind of new format. You want to pick a list of code descriptions. You want to enable quick key, pick the group any group. And the replay should be on pre-post roll. This gives you control over how many seconds before and after it does a replay. And that's how your settings ought to be set. You can set it on autosave if you want. So, just to show you how replay works, there's a key for it. Control A. It's going to go a little bit before 105 and 3 seconds after 105, so 108. So then I can replay that one if I want. That helps you narrow down the time. You could also use the add mark stop, which is if it's playing, you pick the add mark stop key, Control X. It adds a row, marks the time, and stops, and lets you pick a code. So there's several ways to code. Quick keys is really convenient, but it requires that these cryptic codes have the first letter be different. I mean, you could do 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It doesn't really matter what the codes are, as long as you don't want, like I say, you don't want to change it mid-study, but decide what makes sense. But when it actually shows up, it shows up in the description. So you don't want to be changing the code file or the descriptions mid-study, but you can do it at the beginning to however you want. Okay. That pretty much covers it. when I save this and close it again, close everything, and I open it again, it just loads up everything the way it was, loads the video up again. Oh, another thing is if you're earlier in the video, and you can add a row, mark it, or use a quick key. See how this is at 25. Say it's a peer initiation. Then you can sort by time, and that puts the peer initiation back where it belonged. I guess it was supposed to. Was it 25? No, I marked it again. 25. Okay, data, sort by time. It's back at 25. Okay, but that's just to illustrate that you can code in different, it doesn't have to be right along at the same time. It can get tricky because you might code the same thing twice, but it's easy to see when you sort it by time, so you can delete a row. It's best to put it in you can do delete current one with Control K. Grid selection mode should be on rows, so hit F2. Delete the current row. There's some options in there, but should demo it for you, at least for you to try it out, and let me know if you have questions. Thanks for listening.